today we're looking at what I call interoperability, and we start with a song. We are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, to show forth the praises of Him who has called us out of darkness, out of darkness, out of darkness, into His marvelous light, into His marvelous light. Of course, in the past, there used to be letters to the local church, and we see this alluded to in Scripture. If, for instance, if we look at 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 1, are we beginning to commend ourselves again? Or do we need, like some people, letters of recommendation to you or from you? In fact, back in the day, in about the 80s, if we were moving from one locality to another, usually the pastor will write, affirming that you are a believer of good standing. So that by the time you go to the other location, you can then present the letter to the pastor of the local church, and they will give you the right hand of fellowship. And this is actually scriptural, because even if you look at Acts 18:27 also, speaking about Apollos, and when he was disposed to pass on to Achaia, the brethren wrote exhorting the disciples to receive him. So they wrote, recommend, saying that this person is a believer in good standing. But I think now, but at that time, of course, there were very few churches, and the number of believers were not as many as we have now. In any case, now you have a lot of disagreements, doctrinal issues. Some ministries will not want to accept the other person and all of that. But maybe it's as well also, because even if you look at, Paul writing to the Corinthians, he said those letters were not needed. You yourselves are a letter inscribed on our hearts, known and read by everyone. That's verse 2. It is clear that you are a letter from Christ, the result of a ministry written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human hearts. In other words, that your faith, the way you live out your life, will really prove that you're a believer. You don't need those kinds of letters of commendation. And this is also repeated in 1 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 18. For from you sounded out the word of the Lord, not only in Macedonia and Achaia, but also in every place. Your faith to God word is spread abroad. So interoperability in the sense that you can move from this location to the next location, from this ministry to that ministry, and it will be very clear that you're a believer through the way you live your life, not necessarily through a letter of introduction that you were given by your pastor. So I think this is what we need to aspire to. Let it be apparent to everyone, that we've made a commitment to the Lord, the way we live our life.